Perfect. Let's get started. And people are joining us. So let me click on this thing here so we can move forward. What we are basically doing in the second webinar is to revise some of the material that we've gone through or that you've gone through in the online program, namely the success model, the new success model, because it's a bit of a different thinking that's behind that. Secondly, this personality assessment, the color assessment. I would like to outline the colors a little bit more so you understand and maybe relate to that a little better. And then talk about the 5 steps to authentic power if we want to grow as individuals, how we can maybe do that with these 5 steps. Open up for questions and answers in between as well. We do a little exercise amongst each other and then close the day. To get started, as usual, let's do the following. We'll do a little check-in, where you are, how you feel today, and the 1 to 2 takeaways from these last couple of weeks. Maybe just 1 minute per person. And let's go down from the top. Gabriel, do you want to start?
Sure. I got my video on there. Where I am. My name is Gabriel Lockwood, and physically in Lyon, France. Emotionally, quite full, mixed, a lot going on. Yeah. Full of kind of my own emotions and other people's emotions, and, but ultimately good and excited to be on the call. Takeaway. I guess I'm curious about the new model of success, right? And I felt like I could, easily picture it, and part of me is already there, the idea of being and then doing and then having. But I feel like there's this other part, maybe unconscious, that still totally buys into the I gotta do, have to do to make it happen. So I guess I'm looking forward to uncovering that, and seeing where I've still bought into that, where it's still influencing me.
Yeah, welcome to the club there. Ify, are you there? Do you want to go next?
Both sides. I'm trying to take one off. Okay, I'm just trying to take off. I've just logged on with my computer and my phone, but my video on my computer isn't working, so I'm trying to log off. Unless it doesn't matter and I can, don't know why it's not logging off. Okay.
You want to do a quick check-in, where you are, how you come into this meeting, and the 1 to 2 takeaways from the last couple of weeks?
Okay, sorry, can someone else go? I'm just having technological challenges and I need to sort out my...
Well, sure. I can remove one logins from your side, if you, shall I do that?
Yes, please.
Jess, why don't you go next?
Hi, good morning from San Francisco. Really wonderful to be here with everyone. The takeaway was just the robust discussion that we had as a triad last week with Christine and Jane, and really brilliant women and a lot of alignment right from the beginning. But we really talked about things like harmonizing of integrity, looking for internal power instead of external when it comes to success, and that definition. So just really appreciated that time with those wonderful women, and for more discussion to come.
Great, thank you. Julia, do you want to go next?
I'm Julia from the UK, and I'm pretty excited today, although it's like a bit cold here, so I've just put on all my...
You're muted now. So
unmute me. There we go. Where
you sound a little churchy. There was some feedback.
Don't know why. I'm excited because I did the training this afternoon, and I'm finally catching up, and I've really enjoyed it, and it's just what I need right now. And I guess the challenge that I have with it is intellectually I get it, but actually trying to embody that and actually live it is been my struggle for quite a while. So I'm excited to see the opportunities to break through that and really embody the being rather than the doing, because I love to do.
I gotcha.
I know that's my escapism. I absolutely know that. I'm in a state of busyness rather than business.
Yeah. Okay, we'll explore that a little bit. Christine, do you want to go next? Are you there? You're muted.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So my name is Christine Rozier, and I'm just outside of Austin, Texas. How am I feeling today? Honestly, I'm a little frazzled. I was having computer issues. My computer kept freezing up. And anyway, so I'm really trying to get present, become present, so I can participate fully, because I love these online programs with you, and I really want to be here. And the takeaways from the discussion group, I have to echo what Jess said. It was fantastic to really understand that there are people who you can have immediate bonding with and like-mindedness. You know, I've experienced that with the group in general, but it was very nice to bond so quickly with both women who are doing wonderful things. I can't wait to get to know them better and understand what they're up to and support them in any way that I can. So it was great. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thanks.
Ify, do you want to try again? You're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Is my video working?
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
So my name is Ify, and I'm in Lagos, Nigeria today. And I'm feeling just like Christine, frazzled, because my computer was taking too long to log on to the meeting, and then I decided to log on with my phone, and then I logged on with both. So just feeling a little frazzled, and then my daughter is now coming to knock on the door of the office, so please give me a little bit of time to settle down. But yeah, my takeaway from the last week module was the chapter 1 was really insightful and exactly what I was hoping for. It's really getting me to dig deep and appraise the work I've been doing over the last few years, and almost distilling it and really seeing it take shape. So that was great, being able to do that. And I loved the color personality test. That was really great. Mm-hmm. And from my discussion group, it was a very real experience with Moshe and Gabriel. And that's what this is about. So it's just, it resonates to have people who are like-minded and are here for the same purpose, and connecting with them was really great. So I'm looking forward to what the next section has to offer. Thank you. And hello everyone, if I didn't say that before.
Thank you. Jane, do you want to go next? Just unmute one of your devices and good luck. You're still muted, Jane. Maybe you can help her, Clemens. She's connected on both devices. Kirsten, do you want to go next? Are you there?
Unmute.
There we go.
All right. Yeah. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Yeah, I come to this meeting needing a little rest is probably the best way to say it. We had, you know, a big event last week, so I'm starting to notice this pattern, and this is about living the good life and what it means to be successful. Is understanding the patterns of activity and then rest. And I too have a very strong go do ego, the doing and not giving myself enough rest. So it's very interesting to be looking at that right now and looking at those patterns and how to shift that so that there's not so much up and down, that the rest is there. So really, really fascinating to have that, you know, parallel right now as I'm looking at that. So yeah, so it's been a good 2 weeks, and the other aspect that was really interesting for me is still noticing that success, there is a part of me that identifies success through how others respond or not respond, and what it'll take to come to that place of, you know, no matter what the external world says, where am I internally, and completely comfortable with myself and not needing external success definition, if that makes any sense. So anyway, so
let us know when you figured it out.
I was gonna say.
Anyway, so that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
and
thank
had
you.
a great discussion with our group, so enjoyed that as well. So
Thanks so much. Mike, want to go next?
Okay, I don't know if you see me, but
Yes.
I'm holding the phone here. My name is Michael Larsson. I'm in Stockholm, close to Stockholm, Sweden. How am I feeling today? It's been up and down, trying to, it's a good question, and trying to record, also trying to be aware of your feelings and what goes through you, and try to identify those. I wouldn't say I'm feeling great, but that's the way it is. And the takeaways from the last weeks, I think, as somebody mentioned there, intellectually it's quite clear. Putting it in practice or trying to be aware of these things is another thing that that I'm excited to try to work out.
Okay.
And we had a good discussion group, although it was brief. It was 1 hour. So.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Moshe. You're still muted, Moshe.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. So, just the hello. Heidi. Hi. So, yeah, this is Moshe. I'm from Haifa, Israel. And I feel excited today. I feel very happy and lots of energy. There's lots of things going on around here, and I'm also excited about the meeting. And I had like a whole day. I spent the whole day with 2 business people, actually from Berlin. Actually, one from Berlin and the other one from Madrid. And I introduced business conscious to them. And I saw like, you know, the fire and the yearning in their eyes and their excitement. And I'm excited because I feel there is like so much space and so much work to do in this role. So this is great. Looking forward.
Yeah, great. Perfect. And Jane, let's try you again.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. It's just, okay. Try again. Go for it. Now you're muted again.
Okay, at the very current, I feel extremely inadequate. I'm connecting both through the computer as well as my phone, and I feel like I'm in an echo chamber. But nonetheless, I'm Jane Hampton, and I'm here in Minnesota, middle of the United States, and it is a rainy day, and yet I'm excited to be here, yet frustrated that my portal to this great lecture, and my new friends is quite is blocking me from the excitement that I want to experience. But nonetheless, I'm here and I'm engaged and I'm ready to learn. My takeaways from last week was we've got a lot of work to do across the globe, and I feel excited and pleased to have the merit to be a part of this group, and I can't wait to see what we create together through Peter's wonderful platform of learning, and where we all will be personally as well as in our future seed planting by the time this class is over. I think it's wonderful.
Great, great. Thanks so much. I think I didn't forget anybody yet, did I? Because we jumped all over the place a little bit. Let's get started, because as you see, there's quite a bit of a challenge that's in front of us, which is really not so much what can we do differently, but what's really the transition in our mind that needs to happen in order to shift to this new way of being and as a consequence of doing business. So let's start a little bit into this be to have model and understand that a little bit better. There are a couple of things that I would like to say about that. The first thing is that it is definitely an unusual start. And if you look at it, and maybe you can understand as we move along, it's really one of the most fundamental things, that it is our model of success that we've been taught, which is really making us suffer and is making our planet unsustainable. And that it's a model of thinking which has been ingrained over many thousands of years actually in our culture. And therefore it's very, very sticky, obviously. And if we want to break away from this existing model, we need to find this alternative model of success, which is obviously very, very simple in some way, maybe even simplistic, but it is very profound if you think of the implications. Again, it's a very unusual start to start a program with this kind of a mind shift here. So some say, yes, that really resonates with me. Some say, leave me alone with that. Others say, what's the point? And others say, okay, yeah, I get it, but how do we actually implement it? So whatever is going through your mind, what we would ask you to do is to just let it do its talk. Yeah, and just go with us and see how this model over these next few weeks becomes more tangible. It is a big shift, so we don't promise that within these 6 or 8 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever time we have here, it'll be a complete shift in your life, but you will feel what you can actually do in order to make this happen over time. That's the first thing. So bear with us, just walk with us for these next week here. If it doesn't gel with you, you can always go back to the existing principles. How's that for a suggestion? The second point that I would like to make is that oftentimes we don't start with this in organizations. Depending on whether the organization is ready, like a Starbucks, for example, we went right in with this module. In other organizations, they felt more comfortable going into the second model and start with module and start, for example, with relationships and team building, and then go back to this module 1. So because it is a very, very much of a challenge, some people are not quite ready to go right there. Whenever we take people through this, the organizations that go through this from the get-go, oftentimes the question comes up, what can I do differently? Because we are so conditioned to doing all the time, especially in the business world, things need to get done. So oftentimes the question comes up, yeah, and no, it's like, what can I do now? What can I do now? What can I do now? There's this pressure to do something. And so sometimes we just need to hold the reins a little bit and say, okay, now let's just really focus these next week on the being level. Who are you here to be during this lifetime? And what does this being level really mean? What does it mean to fully be yourself, abundantly being yourself? Because if you're not being abundantly yourself, you cannot have abundance in your life, full abundance in your life. So I just want to give you a little bit of an example how this rippled out in an organization. In this case, it was Intel, where I worked with one person in particular around this vice president. And we took him through one of the personality assessments, and it came out that he had brilliant guy, I have to say. He was 38, he was a vice president, and one of the most brilliant guys I've met in my life. So he was very quick at knowing what needed to get done. But his MO, his motives of operation was that he put it on the table and then said, this is what needs to get done, and bam, everybody go out and do it. So his 30 first liners and then this entire culture around his team, he had about 3,600 people, was in dire straits. He kind of killed the culture in the entire team there. So that the HR people came up to us and said, you know, we need somebody to work with this guy. He's so brilliant, but he's screwing up the culture. So it came out that his typical mode of behavior, his being level, was to say, okay, this is what needs to happen, and bam, I'm going to say that. And that was the core of destroying his relationships and also his team. He was brilliant, and so he got it very quickly and changed that pretty much on a dime. And so 6 weeks later, when we met again, he said, you know, I implemented a different culture. We've completely changed the way we have our meetings. I'm only here as a facilitator. And even though he knew what needed to happen, he always asked the question, please, what do you think needs to happen? And when there was something that didn't work out, he said, what do you think if we do this? So he turned all the, basically all the authority over to his people. What do you want to do? How do we want to do that? What do you want to tackle next? And within several weeks, it was really amazing to see the entire culture of the organization change because his being was different. And as a consequence of that, his doing in the way he led his teams. So maybe that helps a little bit of as an example to understand how this ripples into an organization. Basically, whenever we operate from fear, whenever we operate to push the agenda, we are creating some kind of conflict, some kind of dissatisfaction, some kind of frustration inside of us or in the people around us. So that's why going back to this being level, coming from our authentic self, where we are not operating from fear, has a very profound impact on everything that we do, or everybody who we relate with. So that's the second thing. There might be an urge to go to the doing level, but really let's take this time to really maintain the being level and understand how we can build this out in our lives. The third point I would like to mention is that that this model is a very, very simple model. Be to have, I mean, what is it? But it is really a fundamental change because it suddenly takes this bigger picture into the equation that we are not all alone here. That if we are being ourselves, that we are kind of connected to something bigger here. And that we are all interconnected as individuals, and that as we are being ourselves, our personality can flourish and can flow into this world. So for myself, for example, it was a tremendous change because in my software company, it was always, I have to do more, I have to be better. Is this good enough? Are we going to get some clients? So there was always me, or us trying to make it. And if it wasn't good enough, we might not make it. That's a very strugglesome life, which I see most people living in our world when I look into organizations. This perspective that there is something bigger out there, to understand the colors. When I was meeting with Rob, with this guy that has become my mentor, it really changed my life because I understood that there was a different level that I can connect to and that I'm being here to being that. And it allowed me to trust a little bit more and allowed me to go through challenging situation and just go, oh, this is part of the situation. I can deal with this now in a different way. So it made life much easier for me. So this higher perspective that we are all interconnected, that there's something bigger out here, changes everything. It's not a change that we have in our world. It's really the transformation if we can live in that way. How can we do that? Well, it takes a little bit of practice, and we'll take you through it over time here. So these are the three things that I would like to say about the Be to Have model, basically as an introduction. I would like to show you one picture of how we implemented this Be to Have model in these programs. So as you can see, module 1, which we are going through, your authentic power, is pretty much all in the being level. Who are you here to be? What are your talents? What is your purpose? What are your out of power behaviors when you're operating from fear, for example? And it even spills over into the second module when we relate to other people or are building teams. So the first couple of things are really, mindset is really on a being level. How are we entering into a relationship in a different way? And then we start going, okay, now how do we do this different in organizations? And everything we do, number 4 here in module 2, is basically initiated through communication in our world. So how can we communicate in a different way? So that's where we bridge it more into the doing level and actually make it very tangible inside organizations. So now you have a bit of a context of how this be do have model becomes more concrete inside organizations. I would like to open up for a few questions here. So before we go into this color model, do you have any questions? Just unmute yourself and ask questions if there are some that come up. Moshe, you raised your hand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like, so why is it marked with yellow, the first 2, as versus the other 4?
It's just to show you that this is the being level. This is where we mostly speak about understanding who we are here to be. When we enter into a relationship, it's more mindset and perceptions. And then I just left the other things gray to kind of distinguish between the being and the doing. So does that explain it for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, let's roll. Let's move on. So the second thing that I would like to address today is this personality assessment that hopefully you are all able to do. A couple of words that I would like to say about that is that, first of all, you saw in the videos that it really changed my life. From that time that I went out of Rob's place, I started transitioning because I saw who I could be, who I am here to be during this lifetime. We can't give you that same experience as part of this course. Maybe you have an opportunity to meet with him at some point in time. But what we wanted to do at least is give you the opportunity to go through this in an online assessment. This online assessment gives you an idea. It sets the general ballpark, but sometimes we bring ourselves wherever we go. So when we fill this out, our own bias, our own conditioning comes into this personality assessment when we fill it out online sometimes. So I sometimes see that people say they are green or they're tan when they're really not green or tan because they might have adopted that. So what we have done, if you have sent us a photo of yourself, is we basically had a conversation with Rob to look at your authentic personality and what he sees in you. And we will send that to you. And I've basically recorded a short 2-3 minute clip about your colors that you saw and also some things that you might want to be aware of, which we will send to you after this session. So if there are any discrepancies between the online personality assessment and what you've received and you scratch your head, why is that? Just drop me an email, okay?
And Peter, just one quick remark. When we talked about it, you said would be nice if everybody who's ready to share your personality assessment, what you got as your personal colors out of the online assessment, if you would share that in the chat box.
Yeah, punch it in there. That would be great for us to have, but also for amongst each other for you to share. So I would like to take another little bit of time to look over those colors and say a few more words, maybe to help you understand or relate to those colors in a little better way. I picked the main colors here, which we see mostly in the business world and the people we work with. There are some other colors, but they're much more rare and especially in the business world don't appear very much. Let me start with the yellow. I myself am yellow, violet, and I have some tan, so about 40-40-20. I'm a yellow belly. So the yellows are really the Peter Pans with brains of this world. That's what Rob, my mentor, calls me all the time. The yellow is a physical color, as it says here. So we really are very closely connected to our bodies. If I don't move my body, I get grumpy. Whenever I'm stuck, my energy is stuck, when I'm too much in my head, I need to get out. I need to move my body. I need to exercise. I need to be out in nature. And then it feels like a toilet flush, and suddenly everything falls away from me. So for us yellows, it is really, really important that we have that movement, whether it might be yoga or something more active than yoga. It doesn't really matter, but something that moves us. Yellows have a great affinity to nature, to the environment, and that's where they really connect oftentimes to something that's bigger than themselves. Yellow's job is here to bring joy. We are basically here to remind people that things can be done in a little bit of a lighter way. Yeah, that we can have joy at work, that things can be done with a little bit more ease. Yellows are extremely sensitive, which is down further at the bottom here. So sensitivity doesn't mean, ooh, we're kind of this, don't touch us. It's much more that when we enter a room, we feel what's going on in the room. So when I was a venture capitalist, I went into organizations, and sometimes I just put out my feelers and say, what's going on in this organization? And I can tell you, whenever this first impression that I got was always turning out right. We might have invested, we might not have invested, but 2 years down the road, I said, oh my God, this first impression was so right on. I wish I would have listened to that. So when we go into the room, we feel there's something off with this person. I don't know what, but something feels off. It's very important that we pay attention to that, because it's really a gift that we have as yellows. Yellow is the color of the child. So you see that playfulness, the easiness that children bring to the planet, but also the high level of integrity. Children tell the truth, and you can basically trust what they say. And the same is true with yellows. We might not always say what we think, but when we come into the room as yellows, there's a high trust that comes with us. And most of you have some yellow here. So we have to know that we come with a high level of trust, and people appoint us with this level of trust. It's a great advantage, because if we want to make a difference in the world, people need to trust us. If we want to sell a product, people need to trust us. If you want to lead people, they need to trust us. So you, as yellows, bring this into the planet, into the room, into the world, without the need to do anything. It's just who you are. There's an obligation that comes with it, because people appoint us to a level of trust, and if we don't fulfill that, people can get disappointed. So just bear in mind that there's a expectation, quote unquote, that's been set up here, which might not be true, but people do that without even being aware of it sometimes. There's an out of power behavior, and with out of power behavior, meaning that we are not in our authentic power. When we are operating from fear, when we are not in our flow, when we are operating from fantasy, we look at that in much more detail at a later stage. We call this out of power. When yellows are out of power and not in their yellow, they first become grumpy. Yeah, you can see that happening very quickly. And then the second stage, if they still don't pay attention to that, they get sick. And it actually becomes chronic over time if they still don't pay attention. Get a throat ache or something like that. The main thing that yellows like is appreciation. If we don't get appreciated, we go, something is off here. But it's a fear-based behavior, basically. So that's the yellow. The violet, which pretty much all of you have, otherwise you wouldn't be in this course here, is that the violets are the change makers. Violets are here to make a difference in the world. Violets do not work to make money primarily. They work to make a difference in the world. They always need a purpose. They always need to feel this emotional connection, this emotional richness of making a difference. So while yellow is a physical color, violet is an emotional color. And the violets are here to inspire other people, to touch other people, to connect with other people. Some violets do it big stages, like Tony Robbins, he has green violet, Martin Luther King, those kind of personalities. And other people do it more intimately, where they want to connect on a one-on-one basis, psychologists, for example. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what you are. Oftentimes, violets are the teachers of this world, or the inspirers of this world. Again, we need to have a purpose in order to be fulfilled in our life, and violets want to have that freedom to express that purpose. If they're being hunkered down in an organization, say you can't do that, you have to deliver goals, it's like putting violets in shackles. Violet is a leadership color. Violet and green are the typical leadership colors of this world. The violets are the purpose-driven leaders, the engaging leaders. The greens are more mental and empowering leaders. The violets are creating that emotional connection that we're all seeking, and they're the purpose-driven leaders. So if we want to build organizations that are having a purpose-driven culture where people really want to work because they bring their hearts to work, there's usually a violet at the helm of it. Yeah, very, very powerful color, visionary color. The out of power behavior is that violets can be drama queens. If we are not in our authentic power, we can be absolutely just creating drama and everything doesn't really work and we're all over the place. We get so many ideas, we get so many inspirations, what needs to happen out in the world. If we cannot focus that, we're just all over the place with it. That's the out of power behavior. Let me switch to the green, because this is the kind of the counter leadership color in our world. The greens are the typical business people in the world. So our friend Donald Trump is a big green. Bill Gates has a lot of green. Many CEOs of traditionally run organizations are greens. Finance world is a lot of green. It's a mental color. While violets have a vision and a purpose, greens have goals. They say, this is what I want to achieve, and then they put their energy to it, and they usually get there. Greens are extremely bright and sharp, and they're the people who are the go-getters of the world usually. They get stuff done. Again, but it's a mental color. It's a mental construct. I want to get there, and then I'm just going to do it. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether I burn out. It doesn't matter whether I burn other people out. I'm just going to get there. So you can see that this behavior can create a lot of dissatisfaction in organizations where people just check out along the way. Yeah. If a green is in power, like a Bill Gates, for example, he's here to empower other people, to take them along, to say, you can do this, and to build this energy that people want to come along. And I've seen this in many workshops where greens were just saying something and other people just immediately signed on. When a green says something, we oftentimes know that they get there. And so when they get on the bus and I jump with that person on the bus, I know that I'll get there too. Yeah, so that's the empowering part of the green. It's high achieving people. They oftentimes like to have the best, be the best, have the richest, have the most, those kind of personalities, which is oftentimes, unfortunately, very ego driven. Yeah. They end up in high power positions oftentimes, but when they're out of power, again, they're here to empower other people, but when they're not in their authentic power, they are controlling. Everybody's too slow. Why can't they work faster? And can we do this better? So they're very judgmental and controlling when they're not in their authentic power. Okay, hope this makes sense. If you can look at this, we are currently in a transition from a green world to a violet world, where many millennials are born as violets and want to have a purpose, 85% of them, and companies are still run in a green way oftentimes. So this is the dichotomy and discrepancy that we're facing, why many organizations are looking at building different cultures. Let's move to the blue. We don't have any typical blues in our group, but we have a dark blue in our group, which we can find. The blues are the mothers of this world. They're the most loving and nurturing personalities of this world. And my God, what would our world be without that love and this loving quality and the nurturing quality that our mother personalities bring? It's an emotional color, just like the violet. Oftentimes blues are highly intuitive and psychic and just feel what's going on. So if you imagine your mother, she probably is very tuned into you and says, okay, I know what my kid is up to, and maybe pick up the phone and say, what's been going on? They can be very nurturing and loving. This is what they're here to do. And they really have this strong need for emotional connection, with people. Blues oftentimes cry as a whim, as a movie or something. They're just very emotional. Okay, so they're very close to their emotions and also to their tears as a consequence of that. The out of power behaviors that I mostly see in blues that they mostly have is that they're really having a hard time saying no. So they're so nurturing that they're giving themselves up without the ability to say no. So oftentimes they're just here for other people, here for other people, here for other people, completely denying themselves, which is the head in the sand kind of an image down here. Okay. And lastly, the tan colors. There are a couple of tan colors, different ones: sensitive tan, environmental tan, and logical tan. I mostly see logical tan. Also in this group, there's some tan. Again, it's a mental color like the green, but it is structured. It is very detail oriented. If you look at the violets and the greens, they are not detail oriented. A violet is, I have a vision, 110, let's go there. I don't care about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Martin Luther King says, I have a dream. He doesn't tell us I have a plan. So the green is similar. Greens just don't have the patience to talk about step 2, 3, 4, 5. They say, let's go to step 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, I got it, let's go there. The logical tan has the ability to break it down and to actually structure what needs to happen along the way to get there. So the logical tans have developed computers. They have developed all the technology that we're using in this world. My tan has helped me to create the structure for this program because I can just see the step-by-step structure right in front of me. Yeah. So if we want to get stuff done, it is very helpful to have this structured approach of a tan on board. Sometimes they can be, the out of power behavior is that they just fall too much into structuring and they can be too slow for other people. So if a green and a tan work together, they're like, oh my God, can we move a little quicker here? And the tan wants to break it down and bam, we have a conflict. So for a tan, the out of power behavior is oftentimes to think things to death, yeah, and to hibernate and then just be really afraid to move forward because they get stuck on step 2. Yeah, and are afraid to move to step 3. Okay, so this is just a little bit of an overview of the colors. Again, I hope this makes it understand a little bit for you a little better. Let me give you a few implications of this color assessment before we go into a little exercise here. The first thing is that these colors are your authenticity. And again, we will send them to you that we've seen in you, so you can understand that a little bit better. But it's basically who you are here to be during this lifetime. These are your birth colors. Oftentimes we take on a color because we feel we have to compensate in some way. In the business world, it's oftentimes green or tan. But oftentimes these colors are not our original or our birth colors. And whenever they are not, we are not quite authentic with them. We're compensating and they cause stress over time. So when we express our authentic color, that's when we are fully authentic. That's where we can be fully abundant. That's where we express our purpose in our life and also the talents that come with these colors. The second implication is, so what if somebody can read your colors? This was a big hit for me because I was sitting in front of this person many years ago and I said, holy cow, without knowing me, how is it possible that he knows everything about me? And for the first time in my life, sees me as for who I am truly in a way that so resonated with me that never happened before. So there must be something else going on if somebody is able to see that. There must be a higher thing going on here. Plus, if we all have these colors and are here to express them, it means that we have a certain purpose to express these colors. So it basically changes the whole way in which I approached life, and maybe it helps you do the same thing. The third thing that it means is that if we think about work-life balance, it's not about working less or doing this more or working out more. It's really more about balancing our colors. you will find that you basically do everything with your colors. If you read a book, you want to have your colors expressed. If you go on vacation, you want to have your colors expressed. If you want to work, you want to have your colors expressed. Relationships, the same thing. If we don't get our colors met in this balanced way, there will be some sort of dissatisfaction. So if I'm working myself to death and I don't get my yellow, the yellow will pop up and say, Peter, I'm really grumpy now. Something needs to happen. If I don't express my violet goes, oh my God, can we please have some inspiration here? This is boring. Yeah. So whenever I'm out of balance, I'm looking at which color is not getting enough attention. Yeah, and then focusing on giving that color some attention. The next thing is that it really takes the judgment away. If there's a person that's a big visionary, doesn't really do details, we don't need to judge that anymore. So if a tan and a violet is in the room and the tan goes, oh my God, can you please be more detailed? Or the violet says, can you please go a little quicker or see this big vision? We don't need to judge those personalities anymore because we understand that it's just a different personality. So it changes relationships and it opens up for a different dialogue, which obviously spills out in teams, that we can suddenly build teams where we can take the conflicts and the judgments a little bit out of the way. And also understand that diversity doesn't necessarily mean an Asian woman together with a white man or something is diversity, but that two white men or two white women can be completely different from each other, yeah, by having different colors. So diversity suddenly becomes understanding the unique personality that everybody brings to the team. No matter whether women, men, white, black, Asian, doesn't really matter anymore. And also the ability to build teams in a more balanced way, where we say we might need a green on this team to get this project going. How can we find that person? Okay. If you would like to read a little bit more about this, which I can strongly recommend to understand your colors, maybe the colors of your children, of your peers, of your partner, the book that I really recommend is Life Colors by Pam Owsley, who's a friend of ours here in Santa Barbara, and she has the same ability to see those colors. And she actually sat down to write a book about it, which I'm very grateful about. Okay, this was a handful here, or a mouthful. Let's do a quick little exercise where we group you guys together in groups of 2. And I would just like you to, maybe Clemens, you can explain that since you're right there. You want to do that?
Yes, I can do that. And I'm just working on the breakout groups in parallel. So basically what we'll do is we'll group you 2 to each other, 2 together. And then one starts sharing your thoughts, your ideas on these 2 questions we have here on the right-hand side. And the other one is just listening. And after 3 minutes, we have a switch. And then the other person shares her or his own ideas and thoughts on these 2 points. And A is listening. And so it's not about right or wrong. It's really just to see where you're at, what your thoughts are, and to learn about the other person's thoughts on this one. The 2 questions are, where have you observed in-power behavior of your personality and where out-of-power behavior? And how does in-power behavior feel? How does out-of-power behavior feel? So yes, it's 4 questions, but it's around the same topic.
Do you have any questions around this before we break you up?
Yeah, just you can put, I don't know if it's possible technically, but if to put like that 5 colors that you showed on the screen somewhere, but maybe it's impossible because we're pairing through.
Yeah, you're going into groups, so I'm not sure whether it's possible.
And it's a bit, Masha, it's not so much to refer it back to the colors. It's a bit the simple idea. There is in-power behavior that we are having, and there's out-of-power behavior. Where do we feel authentic? Where do you feel in our power, in ourselves? Where can we see that somebody else feels in her or in his power, and the action is from that? And where is that not? And
in general,
one part of in general, you can talk about yourself or about others. Yeah. And the idea why we put it here is so that you get an idea of how clear are you about this in power and out of power. And then have a question session afterwards, question and answer session. And so you can bring anything that comes up as a question, you can bring into that question and answer session afterwards. Or any insights that you had from this sharing.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So Jane, we will keep you in the main room because we have one person less. And so we would ask you to share with us in the main room. And now all the sessions will begin. And in the end, please just come back to the main room as quickly as possible.
Just click on the button that you get.
Yes. So.
There you go.
Okay, I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well.
Yeah. If you're still there, huh?
Okay, little by little, guys, hang with me. We're in the middle of a whole technology upheaval in the office, and at one moment I don't know what piece of equipment I'm going to be connecting with you guys on. So here we go. Yes, go ahead, Clement.
Yeah, let me just check one thing because we have more time here, Jane.
Yeah.
If he did not join the breakout session. Yeah, Peter, do you want to listen to Jane and I'll chat with Iffy?
Yeah, Iffy went over now.
Oh, okay, perfect. So Jane.
Okay, so where have I observed, being in power and my personality and such like that? I guess there is a calmness to me. There is a speaking from almost be in the back of my head. I don't know how to describe it, but there's a way that like right now I feel very connected. I feel very intuitively with you guys. Okay, I can speak on myself, and I feel very very balanced in conveying thoughts and ideas. When I'm out of power, it feels like I go into this panic mode. It's like I'm trying to grope and fill the void, like I'm at a buffet line of food and haven't eaten in 6 months, and I'm just grabbing stuff and stuffing it in to pacify that moment. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So that's that. And I've seen this in other situations. And what I have tried to do under just a different thought process is I have tried to take notice of when I am not comfortable and what I do to fill that void of comfort. You know, do I talk louder? Do I, take over the conversation? Do I pull back? You know, in communication, those are the kinds of things. And in that situation, then I almost try to go opposite of that. And so I'm pushing myself to do the opposite. And then it automatically kind of just, I feel a switch in me, just go into a different mode, and the energy of the room dissipates to that higher vibration. I don't know, whatever you guys, whatever. Okay. So that's where I'm at.
Perfect. What colors did you come up with?
What's that?
What colors did you come up with in the online?
Well, Moshe and I did this, and I believe that I was violet and green. Is that where you all have me?
Oh, we let you know.
Oh, okay. Not quite there yet. Yeah.
No, you're definitely quite there. I think you got some yellow going as well, but.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I was raised by some really incredible parents, and sometimes it's hard to really separate those of which you're around and that of which you are. So, and that I think is actually our lifelong experience. And so I'm just kind of wondering how I'm messing up my kids, kind of what.
Or how much you give them opportunity to be themselves.
Opportunity.
Good job. Yourself as well, right?
Pull it back, Peter. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to connect with you, Jane, really. To hear you. Do you have a video as well or not?
Well, there's going to be an IT change up here. This is ridiculous. They've given me monitors that aren't where I need to be, and so yeah. But I will say this, Peter. I love the platform of this learning experience. I don't know the program you use, but I would like to have a conversation with you regarding specifically that. In my company, we're trying to train people remotely and virtually, and we're just not doing it the best we can. And this platform might be something that could be adaptable to our use. But that's a side note.
Yeah, I'm happy to let you know, because we looked at a lot of platforms, and I'm actually not sure whether it's the best one that we are using, because it changed and there are some more that popped up. So I might actually switch over.
Mm-hmm. And Clemens, that's your expertise, right? I mean, you're the IT guy. Is that how I'm seeing it? No?
No.
You seem to be like the go-to for all the button pushing. No?
Well, in this webinar, yes, to support Peter in facilitating it.
Fantastic. I want one of you. That's what I need.
Yeah, but he's definitely not the button pusher.
No?
No.
Okay.
We always facilitate together when we go in with different facilitators, because it really helps to do it with two people.
Two people, yeah. Okay, so I sense a very strong team there.
Yeah, so even if I fall off the grid and my connection crashes, Clemens can continue the
Oh, fantastic. Okay, that's great. Well, I sense a very strong connection.
Yes.
And good humor going on too, obviously. So perfect. Okay.
You know, the funny thing is we talked about the colors just now, and actually Peter, I think, runs more 10 than I do, and it's the 10 people who are the button pushers on the IT side.
Oh, there you go. Well then.
So we both have yellow and violet, and I think, Peter, you have a bit more 10 than I do.
Okay, good. Well, that's fun. That's very fun.
Yeah.
Good. So we're getting the other people back in a few seconds. We're just waiting for 20 seconds or so. Okay.
Good. Peter, is your goal at the end of this to have people being able to teach this class?
No, well, one goal is to have people become ambassadors and share this work in any kind of way if they want to. Some will teach the class together. We will go into organizations together. Some will just use it for themselves. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that is the goal that Moshe and I have intended. And I see that my point is I want to master it in my own business, or at least, dance with it a little bit. And so I can talk from experience. And I was just curious about your audience and where you see them going in other classes and
Yeah, we'll speak about that a little bit more at a later stage. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cool. A couple of people missing, no?
Masha and Iffy. I forgot to send the other message to saying it's over now, but they are coming back in at latest 13 seconds. So. Yeah,
maybe we can, they'll come back in a sec. They seem to like it.
4, 3, 2, 1. Now they are back.
Okay. Anybody wants to share or have some questions around this color assessment, what we've spoken about?
I do, Peter. It's Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm curious because I came out yellow and I know you've got yellow too.
Yep.
And I think the thing that I've been struggling with for a long time is fun and corporate business. Seems like they don't fit in the same sentence. And I'm curious how you're making that, enabling that to work for you.
Oh, you bet I do. It wasn't always possible because when I was a venture capitalist, I left the company and said, I know you're going to be successful, but I wish you have fun along the way. Mm-hmm. And the CEO turned to me and said, well, I'm not sure whether that's possible.
Yeah.
It's time to get out of here.
That would be a limiting belief I've got,
Yes,
so I know I'm not showing up fully, with all that fun piece, which it kind of surprised me, but didn't when I came out yellow, because, you know, about the nature and stuff like that would resonate.
Yeah, there are two components: the outside world, which oftentimes doesn't allow it, but also our inside world. So in your case, you're violet, green, and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you have quite a bit of green actually. Stronger than the other two colors even. So the green and the yellow are oftentimes in conflict, because the green needs to get stuff done and needs to do it and run the business.
Yeah.
And the yellow wants to be the yellow belly. So oftentimes there's an internal conflict that personalities who have these three colors need to address.
Oh God, that's so true. Thank you. No.
Any other questions or thoughts or sharing?
From me.
Can I unmute myself? Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of along the same lines, you mentioned one of the values of the color model helps us not, you know, judge others and working with them and accept them as they are. Mm-hmm. And for me, I found also a big part of it is accepting myself and not judging myself, specifically around the yellow piece. And it was a conversation recently with my wife. And at the end of like this thing I was struggling with that I shared with her, she said, well, I said, well, what do you think? And she said, well, I just think you don't want to do anything that isn't fun or play. And I kind of took it personally, but I'm looking forward to accepting that. And yeah, it's totally true. And so her bit of pointing that out kind of touched on my own, like you said, self-judgment around that. But I can feel that it's not too far for me to really just accept that and embrace it and remember to honor it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's really good. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Christine. I just wanted to mention, this was the second time I had taken this, and both times violet is my primary color. And this time green was my secondary. Last time, I think it was blue, but blue is in there this time as well. But my point is, right now, as I'm transitioning into my own business, I'm noticing, I loved when you said that the violet, you know, tends to create drama, because I don't tend to create drama, but I've noticed lately, because that's not getting fed, the violet, because I'm working on websites and business cards and not the meat of what I really want to do, not the inspiring part, then I'm trying really hard to create drama in my life. So it just made me laugh at myself, because I thought, oh, that's why, because this part of me is not getting fed. The green part is, but the violet, which I need desperately, isn't, as in this during this transition, isn't really getting fed. So I really thank you for that. And I had a good laugh at myself.
Great.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Any more thoughts or questions before we move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask something. What about, like, you were talking about using some strength of people and talent and authenticity, and about what about the traits of those colors and overcoming them? Is this like part of the menu, or it's coming after, or do you understand what I mean?
Yeah,
we'll leave you alone at that, Moshe.
Sorry?
We'll leave you alone at figuring out. No. Peter,
I mean, the first part of any transition is to become aware of things, right? So just by becoming aware, we're opening the door to shift something. If we're not aware and they're operating in the dark closet there, they'll always pop up and bite us. So this is the first step, where we can become aware of these out of power traits that we have. Then over time, we look at where they come from and what's the driver behind that and how we can change that. Yeah, is it a flip switch change? No, it's not. But there's a mechanism that we can understand to open this closet and really understand what's going on, so that we can change it over time. Does that help, Moshe?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Cool. Let's move on. I just want to go into, for a short moment into these 5 steps here and just give you an overview where we are. We basically looked at these 2 steps, which are an ongoing thing. If you look at these 5 steps, you can see that there's on the right-hand side is really we call it spiritual growth or personal growth part, which many people focus on, which is really to understand that we're part of something bigger. Who are we here to be? Our skills and talents, our purpose. So there's a very expansive part about allowing us to be in this world in a different, in a more expansive way. The second, step 4 and 5, this other half of the circle is quote unquote the growing up part. What Ken Wilber calls the growing up part. It's basically looking at those things that keep us away from expanding into our authenticity. Moshi, what you've just addressed as well. And to understand our out of power behaviors, our fear-based behaviors, and how they are creating repeated struggle and resistance in our lives and the people around us. So if we become aware of this circle, then we can spiral up and grow as individuals, and become more conscious is obviously a big part of that, to become conscious about our personality and about also our out of power behaviors. So we've looked at these 2 steps now, and what we will look at next, let me jump over this here, is in the next 2 chapters, is basically these next couple of weeks you will look at your personal magic, we call it, which is your unique talent that you are here to express during this lifetime. Mine is called illumination magic, for example. I learned about it in 2000, and when this person told me that this was illumination magic, it kind of hit home. It took me a while to understand, but I understood that illumination magics are here to understand human behavior and convey it in a way that people get insight. Now I understand. And this insight can change everything. Basically, what I'm doing now in my life is do as much as I can doing illumination magic, teaching this course, putting this course together, giving speeches, working with people, coaching, etc., is all really around illumination magic for me. Whenever I run this illumination magic, work does not work for me anymore, because it comes so natural that I can do it 11 o'clock at night. So this is the kind of talent that we'll be looking at in our personal magic section. So there's going to be another little personality assessment there. And then the second part of that is really, really important, which is our essences, which is why we do everything in life. Our deeper drivers that get us up in the morning, either this way, or if they are not fulfilled, this way. If we want to step away from a traditional model of doing business, which we call model of dominance and subservience, which we'll touch on later, and we want to step to something other, what is that? We can call it conscious business, we can call it whatever, but what is that really? What are the drivers behind that? What essences are is really the decision-making matrix behind that. It's really what we can focus on instead of the old model. So essences might sound a little bit of a simple model when you go through it, but it's very profound. So that's what you can expect during the next couple of weeks. And then we'll go into a little deeper the following weeks about how you make decisions and then your purpose. Okay, just to give you an outline. Before we close up and do a little conclusion here, I want to open it once more for questions. Do you have any questions about these five steps here? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, just kidding. Cool.
This is Jane. I had a question.
Okay.
It relates to the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as the colors. As a person ages and they explore themselves on a deeper level, and they're exposed to different things that grow and expand them and change them and transform them, do they change their colors?
Usually you have life colors. So okay. Yeah, you're born with some colors. Most children, or pretty much all children, have yellow. So there's a transition there because kids is a yellow color. And then this life color, your authentic color, kind of solidifies. But oftentimes old people are not running around bouncing on trampolines with their yellow. So there's a different quality around that, but you can still see their yellow operating in their lives. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then in addition to that, depending on which environment you're in or what you're doing, you may take on additional colors. So you have the live colors, which are still there, but you may, like I was working in Germany in banking for a long, long time. So when I first met Peter, he pointed out that there's a lot of green in my aura. And because I was like, Germany is green and banking is green. And so I had taken that on, but that was a big conflict with the violet I'm running as a live color. And so that is another layer of colors that is changing over time, depending on what is happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you guys took the photos of an individual. Is it just these colors seen through the face or around the head, or is it a body experience too?
I get a sense of it. So I usually get a pretty good sense, but when I talk to Rob, he just sees those, but he also knows. He doesn't actually need the photos, but people freak out if he just because he gets all these messages. So he's around people.
It needs a physical element. Got it. Okay, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
And I think it's a lot of discernment depending on the person. Like, was it you, Jane, or earlier said you feel very good in the presence of somebody else if the colors fit. And for me, it's something similar. If I meet somebody where we have the similar colors, then there is a joy and an ease on a feeling level for me. And I don't have the visual level, but at that feeling level. And then finding out, maybe, probably, which one is, this is the colors that is where personalities really fit. Or is it something else that is something to about for each individually?
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
So I have a little bit of a follow-up question on what Jane just asked, and Clemens, your answer to that, in that really it begs the question around what is then authenticity and the authentic self. If, let's say, you worked in the banking industry and you then brought green in, is that really your true part of your authentic self, or is that built around because of a response to your environment? And so that it folds back to the question of what really is then authentic versus a mask we put on in order to fit our environment.
Yeah, if we take on colors, it's not authentic. Yeah, because we take those on as a conditioning to cope with a situation, and that usually is not a life-giving thing, but a life-threatening thing. So when I was in Germany, I had much more tan because I was in the finance industry there, and I was struggling with it. I was suffering. So we'll look at authenticity at a later stage in much more detail, where you understand what our authenticity is. But to make a quick introduction around this, it's basically when we operate from fear or fantasy, when we are stepping out of our authenticity. Yeah,
that's how we define it here at the Conscious Business Institute. And this is one of the things, at least for me, it was very helpful when Peter introduced this and said there's in power behavior and out of power behavior. Because your question, Kirsten, was very, very well worded. Is it authentic or not? And authentic is a concept. It's a word, and different people use it differently. So using it in that way and saying, if I'm in power and I'm behaving in power, I'm feeling in power, then I'm in my authentic power. It helped me a lot. And if I'm falling out of that power, I'm behaving out of my power, then I'm inauthentic. Made it much easier to really grasp it and feel it and not just think about it, because suddenly I could embody it.
Yeah.
And it became much more real for me.
As you know, that's what we work on, with our programs is, how do we become our authentic self, and what is that's keeping us from our authentic self. So, the way we would define it is that, any emotional reaction has an ego behind it, and that becomes the out of power behavior in your language, and so, how do we become aware of it? And I think, Peter, you said it, it's like the first step is the becoming aware of it, starting to observe what is actually happening, and when do we go out of alignment from that? So I was just curious how you saw those colors, especially the way you answered Clemens. So thank you for that.
Great.
By the way, Clemens, something is rubbing on your microphone, so there's a lot of background stuff that happens.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
Great. Thank you so much. Is any more questions before we wrap up here? Okay. Let's move on. So basically what we will do is now send you the second chapter of the online program. And again, the second discussion group, as you have done it this last time, and also recording link. So every week you get this video. I will also separately send out an email to each one of you with, again, this 2-minute recording, 2.5-minute recording about the colors that we saw, and maybe some more comments about what Rob saw in you. Okay. If you have any questions around that, don't hesitate to just email us back. Okay. Any more comments, Clemens?
Yeah, I just want to point out one thing. If in your discussion groups you come up with any questions, something that you're not certain about, that you would like us to discuss, then really just send us an email and put the question in so that we can take it up the next time and include it in the next webinar.
Cool. Great. So let's do a quick checkout as we do every time. And just how are you leaving this meeting, this web meeting? And maybe we'll start from the bottom now. Moshe, would you like to start? Moshe?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm even more excited than we started. What I realized is there's like really so much to give in 1 hour, and yeah, so there's a lot of work to do. There isn't any menu that actually eventually you're getting that it's like summarizing in some way that you can work with people. Is there something like that?
Not at this time, but there's a way to share these programs and to work with these programs. So we'll address that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
But it's something that got me thinking. So thanks for asking.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
No, because everything is so organized. So I'm thinking, how do I like take everything and put it in some structured way that you can actually do something with that?
Yeah, well, the idea is to build up a global network of ambassadors that can use these approaches and use the program even to work with clients. Together with us, by yourselves, that needs to be determined what's the right stage and steps there, but that's the idea, that we can share this to a broader audience here through you.
Amazing, thank you.
We typically bring it up in the last webinar before the program is finished, but now we brought it up in this one already.
Okay, Mike, you want to go next?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello, yes. Yes, I'm feeling good, and at the same time, good questions arise in all this matter of the colors and the struggles in between, and how you feel. So it's good. It's driving more questions, more willingness to learn. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Kirsten.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually, the biggest feeling that I have right now is curiosity, because I frankly haven't had the time yet to really focus on this. And so this week I have more capacity, and so I'm very eager to do the test and see where I'm at. You know, there's so many different types of typings like this, you know, and the Enneagram showed up for me, you know, when you were talking about being afraid of saying no. I'm like, I remember that one from the Enneagram way back when. And so I'm just very curious right now and eager to do that. And I sent you my picture just now. So yeah, that's really the biggest one where I'm at right now. So.
Right, thank you. Julia.
Well, I'm really excited. Thank you. And I'm really excited about getting the feedback on the profiles and stuff like that, because just that one comment you said about my blue and my yellow being in conflict, I'm like, oh God, that starts helping me understand so much. So I'm curious to explore more about that and how I can find a path to navigate the best way through it. Maintain my sanity.
Thanks. Jess.
Well, while I haven't had the chance to do the assessment yet, I'm going to do that as soon as we hop off. Already having a pretty good sense of where I'm going to fall, but just thanks to Julia for a nice conversation and just continued energy and curiosity with this program as we continue to dig in. So thank you.
Thank you. Jane.
Yes, all good. I feel wonderful with the content, and I feel like I want to sit back and totally enjoy it the first time I take the class, and then I already feel like I need and want and desire to take it a second time to get it organized so that I have tools to disseminate the wisdom to others. So I don't know where this is all going, but it's delightfully uncomfortable and comfortable. So there you go.
That's perfect.
Nicely said.
Yeah. Iffy, are you still there? Let's go to Gabriel. Oh, there you go.
Okay, so feeling really good about this webinar, and what stands out for me, two things. The first was what you said about first impressions, and that really resonated, because when that first impression comes in, I tend to now let my mental analysis now cover it, so that for me is something I'm going to be going away with, being very reflective, and also observing where I'm out of power and in power with my authenticity. Because I sense that in certain areas of my life, I'm in power, and then in other areas, I'm out of power. So I'm just going to, in the next couple of weeks, observe that more. So thank you. It's been great.
Great. Thank you. Gabriel.
I am feeling mixed. I'm feeling very excited from the call and very curious about chapter 2 and discovering authentic talents and essences. And I have a 2-hour coaching call to jump on in 6 minutes, so I'm feeling kind of stressed.
You can check out right away, so feel free to jump off if you need to.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Gabriel.
Good to see you. And Christine.
Hi, I am feeling much more centered, and I'm grateful for that to everyone, and I really thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Gabriel. So a lot more centered, a lot more hopeful, and always leaving these sessions very inspired and empowered and grateful. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's it for today. I think we got everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll send you the follow-up email and also the little one with a speech blurb. And we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Great to have everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thanks.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, everyone.